What is up, y'all? Coming to you live from my parents' house. We got something different today. Listen, y'all. You know what's been going on, okay? Never have I ever. Indian matchmaking, wedding season. The South Asians have been represented. We have got some content that has dropped on Netflix for all of a sudden. I've been craving this my entire life. And now all of the content is here. So instead of the Changavi after show, I thought, why not bring back the quality control? Because I don't know if you guys remember this, but last year when Never Have I Ever came out, I did a whole quality control segment where I basically broke down the entire season. I said, this is what you need to improve. These are the characters I like. These are the characters that suck. And how can we get better? How can we be productive here? And that's exactly what I did this time, except with season 3 a whole ass year later. So for those of you that watched the first episode of my quality control with Never Have I Ever, expect something similar. For those of you that are new, you guys are going to get the format real quick here. But basically what I'm going to be doing today is breaking down Never Have I Ever, talking about how I feel, like my overall thoughts on the show, talking about some of the advice I gave to the creators last year. Did they listen? Did they not? And talking to each one of these people individually, because I feel like we don't do that. I feel like a lot of critics in this day and age do this thing where they give their own opinions, but they don't give advice on how to improve it. And I got the inspiration for the quality control title that I self-appointed myself as from my boy Grant Cohn. He does 49ers quality control. And I was like, look, I don't know football all that well. I cannot talk basketball strategy. So, or any sports strategy really without like people yelling at me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own lane. So South Asian quality control. I am the official quality control coach here for Never Have I Ever and all other South Asian representation. If you guys would like other shows represented here, I could just be the TV show quality control of the world. I'm down to take that title, but I've given myself quality control of South Asian representation. I don't give a fuck if you have a problem. It's my title now. You didn't take it. You had the chance. You had 22 years. I wasn't here. I'm back. I'm here. I'm alive. Okay. Let's get into this. Let's talk everything Never Have I Ever. That's what the next hour or so is going to be. So let's get everything into it, baby. Let's talk about the news. Okay. Never Have I Ever. There's been some news that's dropped since the season actually came out. So we'll get into the season eventually, but I want to talk about some of the news that's been heading in terms of I was about to say 9/11. That was bad. In terms of Never Have I Ever. Okay, so a couple of things. Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher actually announced that basically season 3 is the second to last season. Mindy Kaling went out on Twitter, wrote this like small little letter basically saying that season 4 is going to be the final season. They have completed filming. Production has wrapped on Never Have I Ever. And the final season is either going to be dropping later this year or potentially around this time next year. But the show itself is ending, which means they're not going to take my quality control advice because the whole show has wrapped as a production. So they filmed it. It's done. I have thoughts on why they filmed back to back, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay. I'll talk to Mindy and Lang face to face and I'll get into those. But the season is done filming and production on Never Have I Ever is complete. So that's very key to know in that, are they going to take my advice? Most likely not for this season because it's already been done. Never Have I Ever is dying in 1 year. When that final season drops, that's all the Never Have I Ever you're going to get. For better or for worse. If you like it, it's sad. If you don't, celebrate. Yes. And in terms of how I feel about them filming back-to-back seasons, I have a general cardinal rule here at Quality Control in terms of television. I don't think you film back-to-back seasons of a show unless you know you have a great product, unless you know your show is at the level and has the cachet of a How I Met Your Mother, of a Friends, of a Frasier, of classic shows. You do not film your seasons back-to-back. You can't just film your seasons willy-nilly because you have to depend your season upon how the audience feels. And Never Have I Ever, last I checked, look, it has good reviews from South Asians, like critically speaking, and it's got pretty decent reviews overall, but they do not have the cachet where they can just go film back-to-back seasons unless something's going on behind the scenes. Again, going to talk about that later. Never Have I Ever does not have the cachet to film back-to-back seasons, in my opinion, so I'm questioning this production decision by Kaling. In addition, I would have also waited for the audience reaction to come in because the audience reaction to this season is not positive. I've looked into a lot of reviews. Critics are not liking this season. Season 3 is not looking good. Spoiler alert, I wasn't the biggest fan of season 3, and you'll see exactly why. We'll break it all down. But they didn't wait for audience reaction. They were like, fuck it, let's go film season 4 because we think the audience is going to like season 3. And they made this decision a year ahead of time. So they must have really liked what they had, but clearly the audiences didn't. So if I was Mindy Kaling, I would be freaking the fuck out right now. But Kaling and Fisher have also made a few other things clear about season 4, things that are probably important to know for this quality control session. Probably important for me, the self-appointed quality control of South Asian representation, to know. So there's a few rumors / things that have been officially confirmed by very valid sources. So Anirudh Pishrodi, who plays Nirdesh on this season. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this. If you haven't watched season 3 of Never Have I Ever, come back. Watch it and then come back because this is going to have spoilers. So I don't want you all to like be, oh my God, like this has spoilers, like you spoiled the show. This is going to have a tremendous amount of spoilers. So go ahead, watch the season, finish the season, and you can come back. Or if you don't want to watch the season, you want to watch me go quality control, that's cool too. But anyway, so we got this. All right. Anirudh Pishrodi played Nirdesh on this season. Des, as he liked to call himself, which, I mean, okay, dude. He confirmed on Instagram that he will not be back for season 4. So Nirdesh, if you liked him, bye-bye. He's gone. We're not going to see Anirudh Pishrodi in season 4. And I presume the same will be for his mother, Sarayu Blue. Raya, I believe was her name on the show. She will probably not be back if Nirdesh isn't back. She's not back. Or maybe she's back. I don't know. I don't know about her. But it's confirmed that Des will not be back. Second headline. We are getting a new character at Sherman Oaks High School. According to Mindy Kaling, his name is Ethan, and he is supposed to be the skater dude heartthrob. Basically, what I'm predicting is it's going to be a Timothée Chalamet type coming into season 4. They got rid of Nirdesh, the only brown boy, lovable character on the show, love interest on the show. Got rid of him and replaced him with Ethan, Timothée Chalamet lookalike. Interesting choice. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And the other headline, Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher have teased this. Nalini will be getting into love interest. Those of you that don't know who Nalini is, that is Devi's mother. Devi's mother will be getting a love interest by the name of Andreas. Do with that what you will. I thought Chris Jackson in season 2 was a great love interest. I would have loved to see him back for this season. I don't know if it was Common's contract obligations. I don't know what the hell was going on that front, but they did not bring back Common for season 3. Chris Jackson was not in this season, and I personally thought he was one of the better love interests on season 2. So it's rough to see them basically pivot away from what was working, pretend like the audience didn't remember, and now Nalini is going to be getting a completely new love interest here in this final season of Never Have I Ever. Okay, so that's the news. That's what's going on in terms of Never Have I Ever. What we know. This is what we know. I'm not on the inside of Never Have I Ever. I don't know shit. So that's the stuff that's been reported. So let's get into my overall thoughts as quality control and the structure of how this is going to work. So we went over the news. We went over some of the headlines of Never Have I Ever, the stuff that's going on in regards to the show. And I'm going to give you in just a second here my overall thoughts for this season. I have a little bit, and I'll just get through it. We'll do a little summary of what I've been thinking in regards to Never Have I Ever. I've let the thoughts process, let a week pass, all of that, let all the other critics say their piece. So now I can say mine. And so I have this, like I have all, I'm going to say all my overall thoughts. Then after this, I'm going to give my advice, then after this, I'm going to give talk about some of the stuff we talked about last quality control session a year ago and some of the advice that I gave then to see if Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher follow that advice and to see if that advice would have worked in the course of this season. Then I'm going to talk to each one of these actors, directors, producers individually. And we are going to have an individual conversation as to their performance on the season, as to their character on the season, and what I believe their performances were, because that's what quality control does. We examine the problem at each stage. So let's do it. Okay. Let's get right into the overall thoughts of this season. Okay. I'm gonna go right off the bat here. I know I like to hide the way I feel about certain things, but I think for the overall proper appropriate context for this season, I think by far this was probably the worst season of the three. I think I am pretty confident in saying that. That's a hot take. I think this was probably the worst of the three. And honestly, like coming into this, like overall, it's tough as quality control to really find the good parts and the positive things. Because I didn't find a lot of positive things from this season, to be honest. Like I thought it gave me very little hope here for this final season. I'm trying to figure out ways to like see how Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher could build into a final season, how they can make the final season a little bit better. We will see. But another overall thought I had, okay, screw the negativity. Let's get right into it. Like another thought I had was like, I felt like the show had zero South Asian influence by season 3. I feel like they basically eradicated the fact that Davy was South Asian and turned into All the Boys I Loved Before. And there's no problem with that, I guess, but I feel like there were very subtle mentions to her being South Asian, but Mindy Kaling, I mean, when she started this show back in 2018, she said that this show was dedicated to South Asian Americans. She said that this was going to be their space. But 3 seasons later, I mean, when we're sitting here and honestly, like if I couldn't tell that Davy was Indian, I probably wouldn't even know that this was a South Asian character. Like there were such little references. Yeah, they had the reference to Navratri and they had a couple references to like Idli Sambar, but it wasn't necessarily like the South Asian show. There wasn't a lot of unique elements to Davy being South Asian. It was very it felt very isolated. Like the show did not feel like it was South Asian. I thought in the first couple of seasons they made it subtle, but it was subtle enough to be like, okay, like this is a South Asian show. And in this season, they completely strayed away from it. It's a very, very different vibe. And it's interesting to see the direction that Mindy Kaling went in. I feel like she's kind of abandoned that South Asian trope that she was going for early on. And now it's kind of turned into every single other teen drama on Netflix. I feel like there's no differentiating factor here, which is interesting. In terms of specific arcs, one of the arcs that I really thought was very confusing from this season was Anissa and Fabiola. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I thought that Anissa and Fabiola, this was like, I get the whole thing of like Fabiola's exploring her sexuality and all of these things. And I know I'm going all over the place with these thoughts, but bear with me. These are just overall thoughts from the season. I was just like, I thought the writers, like that whole Anissa and Fabiola arc basically told me that the Never Have I Ever writers were throwing shit at a wall and trying to see what sticks. I feel like they reached a lot on that. They were looking for some romance and they were trying to let sparks fly, but I guess they realized halfway through, like, fuck, we can't. This is not looking good. I don't think this arc ends well. So let's make them friends again. And they hope the audience wouldn't notice. But I thought it was that was honestly one of the biggest errors of this season. It took up way too much screen time. It was an extremely it felt very useless in a lot of parts of the season. Like it didn't move the narrative forward in any way. And I was very just perplexed by Anissa and Fabiola and that entire arc. Like I get they want to introduce that Anissa is bisexual. And I think there's another way to do that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to talking to Megan individually. Anyway, look, the other main romantic arc with like the teenagers was Eleanor and Trent. And this has got to be one of the worst romantic arcs I've seen written. I mean, god damn, it's bad. It's bad. Like this first of all, like, I mean, yes, I get the whole like opposites attract, right? Stoner theater girl, yay. Like we get, but you can make that work. Like look at shows like One Tree Hill and other teen dramas, 90210. They've made these romances work and they've made it seem a little semi-realistic. This show is not. It's not. It's just all over the place. And they it's like not even realistic about like how they could even be in a relationship. Like I could never see two characters like Eleanor and Trent at a high school. Like even if I were to walk in today, I know high school is a very different place from where I was from when I was a senior, 4 years ago. But like it's I don't see those characters in high school. Like she and also like the whole idea at the end of the season where like all the characters are rooting for Trent to fail high school so that they get one more year with him. Like the fuck, like if my friends were rooting for me to fail high school so I could get another year with them, I'd be like, yo, I got some red flag ass friends. And clearly this relationship is a whole entire red flag. But again, we will talk more about Eleanor and Trent as we talk to the individual characters. But that's just kind of my original thought. Like what the fuck is going on with that relationship? Obviously, Des, as they call him on the show, or Des, or Nirdesh, as I will be referring to him during this quality control session, was a highlight of the show. A lot of people were talking about him. Brown boy, attractive, first brown boy love interest. We love to see it, right? Great. So let's give the show a little bit of credit here. They did do that. They did introduce a brown boy character. But was Nirdesh a cool character? I personally don't think so, but I will get into it when we talk to Anirudh and Sarayu personally, okay? Because we're talking to all the actors personally here. But let's give the show a little more credit, okay? I have to give some kudos. But not, when something is bad, but it's like overall bad, there's still good elements to stuff. Like even when stuff is so shitty, even when you like throw a shitty movie in someone's face, like there's a couple of things that are good. And in Never Have I Ever, even though season 3, in my opinion, wasn't great, there was still some good stuff that was going on. And I thought, credit to the writers, compared to the first 2 seasons, Davy was a slightly bit more tolerable. She went from completely intolerable to, okay, like, it's cool to have her on screen. Like, I don't mind it. I feel very neutral towards it. And that's dope. So shout out to them for making Davy a little bit more tolerable. I also do really appreciate the Manish and Kamala arc. I thought it was one of the stronger parts of the season. I thought they did a good job with it. I think they could have done a better job with it, but I thought it was a really good start. And I appreciate the fact that they included that within this season. I also thought a lot of the side characters in this season were pretty strong, and there were some good additions. And yeah, I'm happy with certain little elements in the show. But I felt the season overall was pretty roundabout and kind of went in a lot of different directions. And we're gonna talk all about what different directions the show went in, because it was all over the place. And I felt like this season felt like a very disorganized mess. It kind of looked like a really disorganized college dorm room, or as my dad would say, my bedroom, which is not the most organized. So that is tough. But anyway, we are going to get into all of this. We're going to get into all of this right now. So let's start with the advice that I gave last year, right? Because quality control was active last year. I was active when when last season, when everyone was like, it's better than the first season. This was a phenomenal show. What a job by Mindy Kaling in season 2. And I was actually one of the more critical ones. I said, hey, maybe it's not the best. Maybe season 2 wasn't that great. And so I gave some advice last year for hoping that the creators would take that in mind and move into season 3, assuming like they're going to watch this. So some of the advice I gave last season that I wanted to see in this season follows. Well, the first piece of advice I gave, I went back and rewatched my entire quality control segment from last year. Okay. And some of the advice I gave is what is going to follow here. The first piece of advice I gave, and I said, listen, this is going to make your show significantly better if you do this. Build out Anissa and the other side characters, and not just their sex lives. I'm not saying just build up their sex lives, because I know this show loves to focus on sex. Mindy Kaling knows how to write sex, okay? That's what she's comfortable with. It's her bread and butter. Does she know how to write sex? We can have that argument another day, but she loves to write sex. It's her passion. It's clear. We've seen this over the course of 3 years. But I wanted them to build out Anissa and the other side characters' lives. They have lives outside of sex. Not everyone's banging all the time in high school. I hate to tell you, I was not banging in high school. Not banging today, but what are we going to do? I don't understand the whole concept of like why we're building out like their romantic lives so deeply, but we can't build out their own personal lives. I would have loved to see like what I was going for, I guess, last year. I really wanted to see some more of Anissa's family, maybe a little bit more of Fabiola's family. We saw a little bit in like the seasons past. We saw a little bit of Fabiola's family in season 1, a little bit of Anissa's mom and Davy's mom's interactions in season 2. I would have liked to see a little bit more of that in season 3. That did not happen. There was not they did not do a good job of building out these characters' lives. I wish they had, they really focused a lot of attention on building out Davy's life, and I get it. She's the main character. You want us to, get to know her a little bit. I would love it if you could spend some time building out these side characters' lives, because they really feel very flat. And I get you can't build out every one of these characters, but especially the core members of her friend group, which is Anissa, Eleanor, and Fabiola, make them a little bit more likable by showing us to their families. That's what I was going for. And I felt like there was no execution on that front from last season. Number 2, I really wanted an episode where we focused on Davy's family life this episode, or in season 3. I feel like the strengths of Never Have I Ever are when they take the sex away, which is kind of funny because I think the show is supposed to be based on sex. The show is supposed to be based on romantic relationships and intimacy as a teenager and all of these things. But I feel like the show's strongest moments have been when there's a lack of that. When there's no sex, when it's based on friendship, when it's based on family, I feel like the show does a really good job. And I really wanted to see more of that. And I thought in season 3, they were going to focus more on that. But they just delved right into her romantic relationships. And unfortunately, I think that is what derailed it, because I think Never Have I Ever had some potential going into this season. I thought that there was a lot to build on. They could build on Davy's life, talk about her life outside of romantics. And unfortunately, they did not do that, which is, they didn't listen to quality control. They didn't listen to quality control. They could have gotten some higher critic reviews here. Another piece of advice I had was getting Manish more involved. They listened to that. They did get Manish. Manish was significant. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say significant, but he was involved in the show. He was there. He was definitely present within the show. And I said maybe a Steve return for a little love triangle for Kamala. Steve, for those of you that don't remember, was the Asian boyfriend in season 1 that just passed away, like in the Never Have I Ever universe. Like he just dipped. I don't know where the hell he went. They seemed like they were both very deeply in love. I thought we were going to see more of that, but clearly that did not happen. And that's tough. I would have loved to see a little bit more of Steve on this. I would have loved to see a little Steve, Manish, Kamala triangle, a little parallel to Davy, and her crazy little love triangles, but that didn't happen. No love triangles there. Steve is nowhere to be seen. Do not expect him to come back for season 4. And the last arc I have that I really wanted to see was I wanted to see the boys in Davy's life, aka Paxton and Ben, right? Yeah, Paxton and Ben. I would have loved to see Paxton and Ben interact with Nalini. I think the strongest elements of this show are when they lean into the family life. And I think if they introduced a little bit more interaction, like Paxton and the overall scheme of Davy's life, like the first 3 episodes of this season, he sneaks into her bedroom window. They like fool around, watch TikToks in bed, and then like Paxton just dips out the window. Like there is no interaction with Nalini. There's no this, no that. And I get they're trying to hide it from her and all of these things, but like I would have loved to see like him get caught in her room or some shit. Like I think that would have added like an extra element to the show. I like seeing Nalini interact with the boyfriends. I think it's a highlight. I think they do it with Ben. They've done it with Ben once every season, and I think those are some of the better moments of the show. I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. And we didn't get any of that this season. I felt like there was maybe 1 30-second moment where like Ben comes over for like the homework assignment. They have like a homework assignment and the boys are over and they, hang out with Nalini. And I think those are the best moments of the show. I want to see more of that. And unfortunately, Never Have I Ever doesn't listen to me because they want to focus on Davy losing her virginity. But that is besides the point. Basically, I would say I gave 5 pieces of advice and 4.5 were not taken. They took half of what I said, which is get Manish more involved, and they did get Manish a little bit more involved. But that was some of the advice I gave last year. And you can go back. If you don't believe that I gave that advice last year, go check it out. It's called Never Have I Ever Conversations with the Cast. This year, quality control is on one, right? You got the after show freaking light on. For those of you that are on Spotify, I got the after show little square on my YouTube thing. So it really shows that like the Changavi after show, we got after show vibes on this quality control. We are sparing no one. So without further ado, my conversations with the cast, because we're going to imaginarily pretend like Mindy Kaling and all of these actors and actresses are sitting right across from me. And I would tell them to their face what I'm going to tell them imaginarily. So I'm going to talk to every member of the cast and Mindy Kaling, who's the director, and Lang Fisher, who are the two kind of directors, executive producers of the show. And we're going to talk to all of them. And we are going to, and I am going to give them my thoughts about them individually, good and bad. And then we'll finish with the final verdict and my, wrapping it all up. Okay. So we got to start with Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher, right? We got to start with the top. The top is where the rest is where the show is built. It's the director and executive producer are the foundation of every television show. So I think it's important that we start with Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher when we talk about Never Have I Ever. Listen, every time I think people expect me when I talk about Mindy Kaling in particular to go off on a rant. I have in the past on these podcasts. I have yelled and screamed and woke my parents up because they do live downstairs, and I forget when I podcast late at night that they are down there, and they get really mad. I have woken my parents up with Mindy Kaling, just yelling about her. I have destroyed my days ranting about her on the internet. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore because it's bad for my mental health. And I think Mindy already hates me. So it's cool. We have established that Mindy Kaling and Mindy Kaling probably doesn't like me if she's ever seen my content. So I'm not even going to get mad at Mindy at this point. Right. So let's be measured for a second. I'm talking to Mindy, I'm talking to Lang, and I want to be measured with them. Okay, let's be level-headed. Let's have an honest conversation. Mindy, I'm going to give you some credit here. I think you can write. I think Mindy Kaling can write for television. She has had a very successful career in Hollywood. I think she can write. I mean, look at her career. Let's look at her resume for a second, because Mindy Kaling wrote for TV on one of America's most successful shows in the last 20 years, which is The Office. She wrote on the show. She starred as Kelly Kapoor, and she was a fucking star. People loved her. People thought she was amazing. People thought she was great and iconic. People consider her to be an iconic character from The Office. The episodes that Mindy Kaling has written are actually some of the more funny ones, and they provided a unique level of perspective. She did a really damn good job. Mindy Kaling deserves credit for The Office. And then she built the Mindy Project, which, for those of you who probably haven't seen it, it was a show on Hulu. It was like one of the first Hulu originals before Hulu really blew up. And the Mindy Project, I've watched a few seasons. It's okay. It's a solid show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's definitely watchable. It stars Mindy Kaling. She wrote the show. She was head of the writing staff, and she gave a lot of minority writers an opportunity on the show, which I hella respect. Good for Mindy. I thought she did. I thought the Mindy Project was overall a pretty solid show. I think it had good moments. I think it had bad moments. If you want to talk quality control about Mindy Project, Mindy, we can talk. We can have a private session in regards to the Mindy Project, because I have thoughts. But it was solid. The Mindy Project overall is a solid show. So it's clear. I'm admitting that you have potential. I've admitted that you are a pretty good writer. Your stuff now I may not like, but in the past it's been okay. It's been watchable. It's been solid television. So why is it that 15 years after you debuted on The Office, or something like that, 10, 11, 12 years, something like that, your first 3 seasons of your marquee show, because this is, you framed it, you said it yourself, you said this was the show. This was the show that you were going to talk about your own life. This was South Asian Experience. This was your fucking show. Why is it that the first 3 seasons of Never Have I Ever have been mostly mediocre to middle of the pack in regards to everything? I mean, it's been pretty It's been pretty bad in regards to the rest of your career. I mean, I think this is probably one of the worst projects you've done in your career, actually. So why have we not seen that potential from 15 years ago come back? What are you overthinking it? Is that what's happening? Like, tell me what's going on. I don't get it. It doesn't add up to me. And listen, I'm not judging your show like it's you know, like it's The Bear, or like it's Rami, or it's Normal People. I just named 3 Hulu shows. That's pretty funny. But like I'm not I'm not judging your show like it's a Good Place or a Rami or a Euphoria or any of that shit, because it's not. It's not. You are not a TV show. The way I'm looking at Never Have I Ever now, and I think I suggest everybody does this, not just me at Quality Control, but everybody should just look at Never Have I Ever as a teen drama. And that's fair. I think it's very fair to look at Never Have I Ever in the same category as an All-American, as a Riverdale, as stuff like that, because it's a teenage drama. You have to look at it from that lens. So I ask you this question, Mindy. Okay, you want to write a teen drama? That's cool. There are a lot of teen dramas out there, but there's also a lot of fucking really good teen dramas. So I'm going to list out some of what I believe to be some of the more elite teen dramas of our time, and tell me if you think that Never Have I Ever fits in this category. Okay, let me list it out because I have them written down right here. Is Never Have I Ever better than Gossip Girl? Are your first 3 seasons of Never Have I Ever come anywhere close to the first 3 seasons of Gossip Girl? I think not. Okay, is Never Have I Ever better than One Tree Hill? Look, I give One Tree Hill a lot of shit. I don't really like One Tree Hill, but the first 3 seasons of One Tree Hill, significantly better than Never Have I Ever. 90210. 90210, look, it's a 90s show. It's got its own little flair to it. It's probably not doesn't age the best. First 3 seasons of 90210, however fucking dramatic they may be, significantly better than Never Have I Ever. First 3 seasons. I'm just comparing the 3 seasons. And The OC. The OC is widely considered to be one of the more successful teen dramas that we've seen in the last 20 years. You think you're better than The OC. You think your first 3 seasons of Never Have I Ever are better than The OC. And these are all teen dramas. I'm not even judging these as like regular shows, because they're not. They're teen dramas. And that's the cream of the crop of teen dramas. And I don't even think Never Have I Ever comes close to any of those. What did I list? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those elite 4. Never Have I Ever isn't even in the conversation, Mindy. This is what I'm trying to tell you, right? But okay, we look at it as a teen drama. Let's view it through that lens. But listen, let's talk about season 3, because we're not here to talk about the entire show as itself. We can do a little show retrospective when season 4 comes out, and we can, talk about it, because it's going to be over at that point. Okay, so you brought in a brown boy. Okay, let's talk Des for a second. Nirdesh. We're gonna call him Nirdesh. We're gonna call him Nirdesh and Manish. You brought in some brown boys. Credit to you. I told you that maybe bringing in some brown boy representation would mix it up a little bit. So let's talk about the boys. Let's give you credit for what you did. Let's talk about the boys. Let's talk Manish for a second. And I want to talk about your decisions with Manish, because Manish was on screen for probably 15 minutes this entire season. And my question is, why the hell was he barely on this season? The audience, for the most part, besides me, doesn't give a shit about Manish, unfortunately. And that's probably because he's not on our screens that often. He's on our screens for maybe 5 seconds per every other episode, or like 5 minutes for every other episode. He's barely in the show, but yet, Kamala is one of the main characters on this show. At least that's what's written down in the description, right? When you talk about the main family, it's Nalini, Kamala, and Devi. That's the core 3. And I would say Davy's obviously the main character. Nalini is going to be on the side. And I don't understand why we've relegated Kamala to a recurring character on the show. She was a main character for the first 2 seasons. Actually, arguably, the audience liked her better than they liked Davy. And now we're just trying to eradicate Kamala. Literally, season 3 it felt like Kamala was being eradicated off the screen. And as a result, we didn't get to know Manish, because Manish is supposed to be, quote unquote, one of the main character's boyfriends. And we don't know him at all. I feel like I walked into season 3 knowing a little bit about Manish. And I walked out of season 3 probably knowing a little bit, probably knowing about the same amount of information that I knew in season 3, coming into season 3. You had such a golden opportunity here with Manish. You could have delved into his backstory. You could have talked about him more. You could have delved into their dynamic with Manish and Kamala, given them more screen time, and given fucking Eleanor and Trent a little less. That's all I'm saying. There were certain arcs of this season, Anissa, Fabiola, Eleanor, Trent, Paxton and Haley, which was a useless arc. You could have cut those out just a little bit and added a little more Manish and Kamala time so that when it comes time for this season to wrap up, because it's eventually going, or this show to wrap up because it's going to in this next season, the audience cares a little bit more about Manish because it's looking like Manish's endgame. It's looking like Manish is going to be here for the rest of the show. I would have just liked to see him a little bit more than we did in season 3. He's supposed to be dating the main cousin, so I would have liked to see that. It's not that big a plot point, and he's involved in the main love story. So tell me, Mindy, it doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying, and this doesn't make sense. But also, there was one more Indian boy, right? It wasn't just Manish. You brought Manish on season 1. You kind of, threw him a little wisecrack here and there. And season 2, like he started, his presence started increasing a little bit more on screen. But Des, or Nirdesh. Okay, let's talk Nirdesh for a second, because Nirdesh was your other brown boy that you brought on screen. And I give you credit for that, because I have been banging the table for another brown boy, a brown love interest, to come on the screen. And you did. You did do it. So credit. But why? Okay, this is a little mistake, but why the fuck did you make his nickname Des? At least it's this. Stick to that South Asian heritage, Mindy. Come on. This. Say it with me. This. Or let's say his full Starbucks name together. Ready? Nirdesh. Practice with me. Nirdesh. We could say that. Why the fuck do we have to say Des like he's some fucking white boy? Like, let's be proud of the man's South Asian name. Nirdesh is his name. Let's call him fucking Nirdesh. I don't know what's going on, right? Like, I get it, right? With Nick Hill, you can call him Nick because it makes sense. It makes sense. But Des does not make sense with Nirdesh, in my opinion. I don't know if there are other people out there. I would love to hear from other Nirdeshes on TikTok, on YouTube, whoever the hell follows me whose name is Nirdesh. Do your friends call you Des? If they do, then I'll drop it. But that's a little point I had. Listen, anyway, Des was supposed to be the main appeal of the season, right? He was the new character. He was the new brown boy. He was hot. He was, smart. He was supposed to be the full, complete package for Davey. But I don't know if it's just me as being a 21-year-old brown man who's obviously not the demographic for Never Have I Ever. But I found Nirdesh to be really, like, quite frankly, pretty unlikable. I even thought like there were points where like Davey didn't even like him that much. She just thought he was cute. Like their chemistry was never there on screen. Like, if you want to talk about this from a pure romantic standpoint, the chemistry was never there. They felt really awkward together. Nirdesh was never like a cool character. He never I felt like he never approached the potential that he had. He was very bland. He was kind of just there. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to see that you had this golden opportunity with another brown guy and you fucked it up. Did you fuck it up or did Anirudh fuck it up? I don't know what's going on, but he's not being brought back. So clearly it was a failure in your eyes, or it was just a fail. His arc was done. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. But Nirdesh isn't great. And I thought he was a very bland character. He was there. And honestly, I don't like using extreme terms here, Mindy, okay? I know we've been pretty measured here for a while. But he was a sex object in this season. He was nothing more. He was just a sex object. He was hot. He was eye candy, and you wanted him on the season. And I get it. Anirudh's a good-looking dude. Shout out to him, bro. But he never had a real character on this season. I felt like his whole thing, like, with being cool and also a nerd, like, sure, like, you're supposed to like him, but did other teenage girls out there really like this guy? Like, he felt so bland. I would have liked him to have a little bit more spice, a little bit more personality. Like, why was his entire personality on this season making out with Davey? Why was he just a sex symbol? Why couldn't it have been, like, an actual dude? Like he felt like he was just there to make out with Davy and to potentially have sex with her, only to get caught by his mother later on in the season. And he also just has all white friends, which is like mind blowing that there's only 3 Indians in this entire fucking universe, considering there's 1.6 billion Indians throughout the world. Anyway, that is besides the point. But I don't want to give too much away about Dace, because we're going to be talking a little bit more Nirdesh later. Dace, Nirdesh. I'm determined to say his name correctly from now on. But Mindy, I know we were talking about this earlier with the filming of back-to-back seasons. I was giving my overall thoughts, but I want to ask Mindy directly. I'm looking right at her in the camera. Mindy, hello, hi. Genuine question here. Are you rushing to finish Never Have I Ever? Let's take a second and process that. Are you, Mindy Kaling, Vera Mindy Kaling, rushing to finish Never Have I Ever? Did you give up on Never Have I Ever? Okay, maybe that was a little extreme. All right, I'm sorry, Mindy. Okay. Chill, slow your roll. Let's get into it. Let me tell you why I think you're rushing to finish Never Have I Ever. You have another show on HBO Max, right? It's called Sex Lives of College Girls. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's on HBO Max. Do I recommend it? We can talk about that another time. But Sex Lives of College Girls is your other show on HBO Max. Which, besides the fact that it's a little bit more mature, it's HBO, it's about college girls, there's definitely like actual sex scenes on the screen. It is extremely similar in terms of the way that you wrote Never Have I Ever. There's one guy who everybody thinks is hot. There's like, a bunch of sex symbols in the show. It's all about like hooking up and modern day dating and romance, and very little about life. This show, Sex Lives with College Girls is significantly more about sex than Never Have I Ever is. Never Have I Ever at least has some elements of life. Sex Lives with College Girls is purely about sex lives. It's in the name. I can't even deny it. But genuine question here. Like I said earlier, did you give up on Never Have I Ever because this show isn't doing that well? Because let's look at this. Sex Lives of College Girls did really well on HBO Max. Its first season, the ratings were up. The critics loved it. People were talking about it being like it's a body positivity teen drama. We fuck with that. It's built for teenagers. It's an HBO show, so it's got a little bit of that adult flair to it. It's fresh. It's new. The actresses were getting commended, and they got renewed for season 2 like this. This was right after Never Have I Ever season 2 came out, and the critic reviews of Never Have I Ever were a little bit lower than season 1. Audiences liked it, but critics, kind of mid. It was kind of mid. And I think you had already finished writing season 3 of Never Have I Ever. It was not looking good. I don't think you thought Never Have I Ever season 3 was good. And so you were like, yo, Sex Lives with College Girls is what I wanted Never Have I Ever to look like. That got renewed for season 2, and I see more of a future with that on HBO because Netflix is limiting their shows to 4 seasons. I'm going to go over to this HBO show, and we're going to rush the fuck out of Never Have I Ever. That's my theory of what happened. I think that's what happened because the ratings were better on HBO. You have more creative freedom on HBO. Your actresses are getting more commendability on HBO, and so that's why you're going to HBO. You want to finish this show quickly, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Sex Lives with College Girls isn't that great a show. Okay. Like it's not that good a show, but in my opinion, it's significantly better than Never Have I Ever. And why you filmed back-to-back seasons. The back-to-back seasons is the other point I want to bring up with you, Mindy, because you thought did you really think season 3 was going to be a mega hit? Because it wasn't. People were impressed. People were not impressed by this product. You look at the reviews everywhere. The reviews are very low from audiences, and critics didn't really like it either. And the thing is, you can't take any of my advice for 4, because that's why I'm not giving you that much advice for 4. I'll give you the advice, but you can't change it. It's already filmed. It's done. Because I don't know. I really don't know what you were thinking filming back-to-back seasons here, Mindy. And I don't know if Netflix was pushing for you to film back-to-back seasons, and Netflix was wrapping this up or whatever. But Never Have I Ever does not have the cachet that a show like Friends or How I Met Your Mother, or even like Survivor, The Amazing Race does, where you can film back-to-back seasons and you know that audience ratings are going to stay consistent because the product is so good. You don't have that. I'm sorry. But for you, Mindy and Lang, That's all I have. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening to my 20-minute long rant. It wasn't a rant. I thought this was pretty measured this time. I thought we did good. Okay. But I'll see you for season 4. I'll see you for the final season of Never Have I Ever, and we'll be back next year. So get ready. Get the appointment booked in the Google Calendar. Okay. All right. That's what I got from Mindy. Let's go to my 3. Okay. My 3, Ramakrishnan, the star of Never Have I Ever. She plays Devi. My 3, I don't really have anything bad to say to you, to be honest. I'm not going to come in here and criticize you. I didn't criticize you last season. I like you. I think you're a cool person. You seem like a really nice person. I've seen your TikToks before. You seem cool. But I have a feeling you don't really like the show either. I've seen a little bit of press, and you do not seem impressed with this season. You're just kind of there. I feel like you're tired. You're tired. You're like, we're 3 seasons into this shit. It's the same fucking shit. My character doesn't go anywhere on this show. I'm done. You look like you are tired of this show. And every press interview I see, it's yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, and like Davey's like this, and like, it's like a good show, but like, I don't know. But like, also, my 3, listen, you don't have to give a fuck. You know why? You've secured a bag for the rest of your life. Your career in Hollywood right now, because you have Davey, is set. It's set. You were the first. You were the first South Asian. And so now all the woke executives in Hollywood are going to want to hire you for whatever South Asian role you may want. You have the ultimate acting credit on your resume. You're good. You secured a bag with Never Have I Ever, and now Hollywood is going to want to sign you to whatever you want. So you won. You won at life. Congrats. You had to play a middling to like unlikable character for 4 years to get an ultimate career, to get ultimate career security, I'd say for the next 3 to 4 years. So enjoy it. You have millions of followers on Instagram. You got South Asians from India to Pakistan to America to everywhere to England love you. You got the title. So enjoy that shit. Look, but like in overall career perspective aside, if you want to talk about the show, I actually give you a lot of credit because you've taken Davey from being this completely unlikable character, just really fucking unlikable in all aspects, and made her semi-tolerable. To do that takes skill. So you deserve some credit here. Thank you for making her at least tolerable to watch on screen. Shout out to you for presenting a more mature version of her this year. I thought Davey made some decent decisions, which I can't say for a lot of people. I can't say that Davey did in the first 2 seasons. So good for you. You made her a semi-likable character. And I think separating you from the character, you really elevated it this season. So I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here. But if I'm you, like, Never Have I Ever's over. You know this show's middling. Well, you already finished. You're done with production. So go find yourself that career, man. Go find yourself a career. I can't judge your acting chops on Never Have I Ever because the writing is so middle of the pack to pretty bad that I feel like you haven't been able to showcase your full acting ability. So go find yourself some shows where you can go showcase that ability. And we can talk on quality control next time you're in anything. I don't know what your next credit's going to be. I'll follow you after the show's done. But we can judge your acting chops on that. But I can't judge acting right now because this show is so difficult to judge. It's difficult to tell who you are. And that being said, look, it's time to put Never Have I Ever in the past, right? We're done. We're done with Never Have I Ever. You're done. You filmed back-to-back seasons. You're done. Your role is over. So you got to find your next job. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you're going to go to school, you're going to go to college, take a couple of years off acting. I don't know. But your career's done. Like, or sorry, not your career's done, but like your Never Have I Ever career's done. So find some new projects. You're going to have Hollywood execs that want to throw the fucking bag at you. Enjoy the attention. Enjoy the fame. But let me tell you something. The Netflix wave only lasts a couple years. So take advantage of this shit. If you really want to act, take advantage of it now. Don't wait. Don't wait. If you want to be in this industry, act now. Because your opportunity, people are going to forget what the fuck Never Have I Ever was 3 years down the road. It's not that memorable a show. I'm sorry. So if you want to last in this industry, and if you genuinely want to act, like if you don't want to act and you're like having second thoughts, by all means, like go have your gap year and go backpack in Europe or do whatever it is you need to do. But if you want to act, ride the Netflix wave now. now. Get your acting credits up because people are going to forget about this show. I'm telling you. That's just my prediction and my career advice from someone who probably shouldn't be talking because I'm not an agent and I've never been in the Hollywood industry. But ride the Netflix wave will only last a certain amount of time. I've seen this with other actors too, and they kind of disappear, and then they pop up out of nowhere in 5 years. So it's harder. I'm just saying, like, you have this cachet built up with Netflix. Take advantage of it. I see Darren Barnett doing it now. Like, he was doing it with Never Have I Ever. He got into that Holy Date movie and all that stuff. So do what your co-stars are doing, because y'all got to figure this out, because Never Have I Ever is not going to be can't be your acting credit forever. Anyway, my three. That's really all I have to say to you. Thank you for making the character semi-tolerable. We'll talk again next year. Maybe I'll have some ideas as to where I want to see you and what roles I would like to see you in the future. Maybe I'll have some more career counseling for you in the future. Okay, I'm going to talk about the boys for a second, right? We got Jaren, Darren, and Benjamin. These are like, for those of you that don't remember, the actors' names are Jaren Lewison, Darren Barnett, and Benjamin Norris. The characters' names are Ben, Paxton, and Trent. So these are the three white boy characters on the show. Ben is the nerdy one, Davy's academic rival, the one that she assumably hooks up with at the end of the season. Darren is Paxton, who's like the hot jock. We all know this. He's been, the biggest storyline, I guess, in Never Have I Ever the past 2.5 seasons. And then Benjamin is Trent, who's had a recent resurgence here in the 3rd season. So we're going to talk to all three of them for a second, right? So I want to talk to Darren first, because Darren, listen, Darren Barnett plays Paxton. I don't know you as a person, but I'm going to talk about your character. And I thought your character was one of the highlights from last season. I thought the growth with Paxton was really cool. It was really nice to see him like turn more from just the jock to a well-rounded individual. I really appreciated that. And I thought Mindy Kaling did a really good job writing that. But I thought that all of that growth regressed significantly this season. I thought it started with that whole like thing with Haley and her like trolling you, and you having to apologize to every girl you've ever fucked and hooked up with. I thought, like, okay, like, sure, apologizing for the ghosting shows some growth, but I thought a lot of the growth that you had built really stagnated. I felt like you were more of like a jock type this season. There wasn't like that same, like, I guess the audience at least wasn't shown like you were growing. But we were supposed to assume that you were a fully grown character after last year, but I felt like there was more to go, and that just didn't happen. I felt like a lot of the growth that you had built was gone. I thought Paxton just kind of went back to being kind of the jock, just goofing around, like having fun, which like I don't mind, but I don't know. It felt very flat. Your character felt flat. You had some oomph last season, and you were coming into this season. I thought maybe, we're going to see a little bit of change in Paxton. Mindy's been doing a good job building you up, but there was not a lot of build up. It felt very flat. And yeah, I get it. Like, look, you had your whole graduation speech, and I'm going to be honest, that graduation speech was one of the worst television show speeches I've ever seen in my life. If I could compare it to something as bad, equally as bad, it's like Elliot's song from the season finale of Euphoria. For those of you that have watched it, it's not good. That song goes on for far too long, and like this speech goes on for far too long. It is not a good speech. It's very hard to watch. You said hardworking so many times that I want to make a drinking game out of this speech. It was not a good speech. I'm sorry, Darren. I don't know you as a person, but your character gives one of the worst speeches I've ever seen written. But overall, I don't blame the problems on the show on you. I think you do the best you can. I think you acted the best you could with the limited writing that you were given in that terrible speech. So you did what you could. And I just thought Paxton in general was pretty underwhelming this season. And I think that's all I got to say for Darren. So good job, I guess. You've been riding that Netflix wave really good. I was talking to my three about it earlier. So keep riding the Netflix wave. Keep capitalizing those acting credits, because I think there's a future for you and your type of character, especially if you just ride the Netflix wave like you're doing. So keep it up. Jared, listen, man. You play Ben. And Ben this season was really fucking weird. I think we both could admit that, okay? Ben and Paxton both. I feel like Ben had a lot of growth in the first couple of seasons. Like he felt like he was Davy's friend in season 2. It didn't feel like he was anything like he wasn't a douche in season 2. Like he was just a normal guy. And I like that. I like the normal dude of Ben. Like yes, like of course there were like little things I would tweak at, but it was solid. Like the first couple of seasons, like we saw like a linear trajectory for Ben. And then like the stock market, Ben's character just completely dipped. I was like, what the hell? Like he was good. He was solid the first couple seasons. Like he was like, all right, like he's a, like a decently, like he's lonely and like, I get it. Like I get his struggle. Like it's understandable. It's a good teen drama struggle. But then he just dipped this season. He turned back into like the douche. It literally felt like we went back to episode 1, season 1 with Ben's character in this season. He just turned into a douche. He started treating Anissa like a dick. Like this is stuff he would never do. This is stuff that he would never do in season 2. But suddenly there was some weird character regression and he turned into a douche and Anissa broke up with him, which is like, you know what? Fine. Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't really care who breaks up with who. But then he like changes over the course of like 2 episodes because he starts talking to this artsy girl who looks like she's going to go to Juilliard for music. And all of a sudden Ben is this changed man because his academic stress is gone and he takes shit. And it's like, whoa. Oh my God, Ben has changed. The shit changed him. Jaren, come on, bro. I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart, bro. Your character regressed. And I don't think it's because of your I think maybe it's a little bit to do with your acting, but I'm not one to judge your acting. I just felt like Ben's character development regressed. I thought there was a lot that was going for you, and then it just hit shit at the fan. Look, and I know you went on the record, and there's been a couple articles where you've said that season 4 of Never Have I Ever is like a beautiful ending, and it's this amazing ending. It better fucking be. I don't know what a beautiful ending is going to happen with this, but I'm excited to see it. Like, I truly don't know what's going to come of this Never Have I Ever season 4 ending, but you've gassed it up. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all goes. I thought overall you were another victim of really bad writing. So again, don't fully blame it on you. I feel like this is going to be a repeating theme. I just think you and Paxton's characters didn't really grow all that much. I felt like it was very, it kind of rewinded, I guess, back to the beginning. And that was tough. I mean, I love how Andy Samberg narrates you. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're Andy Samberg, and shout out John McEnroe real quick for Davey. Like the 2 celebrity narrators are definitely one of the highlights of the show. I don't know like if they actually like being on the show, but they were really good. And Gigi Hadid fucking killed it last year. So shout out to her. But that was last season. Okay, we're not talking about that anymore. But your season was strange, Ben. Okay. And the writers I feel like they lost track of you. I feel like they were so focused on Davey and Paxton and this whole love triangle that they were trying to develop. They were like, oh, Ben, fuck, he's in the show. Let's make his arc academic stress and make him shit. And that's his arc for the season. And unfortunately, Jaren, you're the victim of that. So I'm sorry that the writers treated you like your character like garbage. But I hope you enjoyed your season 3 and season 4. Look, man, I'll give you the same advice I gave my 3. Never Have I Ever's over. Figure out your next step quickly because people are going to forget who the fuck you are in the next year, especially you. For her, at least she's got more time because she's Davey. She was the token South Asian character. You're just another white dude. So, like, I would just suggest, like, get out of this Never Have I Ever mindset. Season 4 is going to come out. That's it. You got maybe a year. If you really want to do acting, ride the Netflix wave. Find some shows, find some TV, and find some movies. And I would love to judge your acting there because I feel like we'll get some quality, some decent level writing here. So, it is what it is. But it was nice talking to you, Jaren. We'll see each other once more, maybe next year. So let's see. And then Benjamin, who plays Trent, who suddenly became thrust into the spotlight as a main character of this trio of boys. Look, man, I don't know you in real life, right? But I thought your portrayal of a stoner was probably one of the worst portrayals of a stoner I've seen in quite some time. Stoners do not act like that. Like, I hate to tell you, my G, it's just stoners don't act like that. Look, I get weed is a part of this character, right? He's supposed to be like cool and shit and like, yeah, bro, I smoke hella weed and like that's my personality, dog. But like, I don't know, the like it just wasn't there. Like you do not know how to play stoner. I know a lot of stoners. Okay, I'm not trying to say that like I'm cool, but like I do know a lot of people that smoke a lot of weed. They do not act like that. They don't act like that. The way the stoner was played in the show, it's just not it. It's not. That's like not how stoners act, dog. Like stoners are much more like chill. They're cooler. Like you don't have to like outwardly try to be cool. Like, oh yeah, dude. Like weed is a part of my personality, and it's like everything I ever own. There's like a certain to being like a stoner. It's like yeah, like I smoke, but like it's not the only thing I'm into. Like I also like other shit. Your personality is weed. And I thought that was just really poorly done on you and the writers. So I'm going to give you a little bit of criticism here, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to personally attack you, but I think the whole stoner vibe is not great. Look, I think that their stoners are not always broy and chill. And like, what the fuck is this relationship with Eleanor, my G? What is going on with that? It literally makes me want to pull my hair out. And you have long ass hair, I would pull that hair out too. Like that relationship is terrible. It's so badly written. It's the worst romantic arc on the show and probably one of like the worst I've seen in like the last 10 years. It's really bad. I mean, this girl wants you to literally fail high school so you can spend another year with her. What kind of fucking girlfriend is that? If there was any girlfriend like that in my high school, bro, you best believe my Indian, like the Indian parents, the Indian parents of that child would slap the shit out of them on the graduation stage. That ain't flying. That ain't flying. You really think that this is a realistic arc, Ben? Like, I'm sorry, dude. I don't know you as a person. Again, not trying to personally attack you, but like, what the fuck? Like, as an actor, do you see that and you're like, yo, whoa, slow down. The fuck is that line? Like, I get you got more screen time this year and you probably wanted a better role because considering your first two seasons, like you didn't really have much of a role. And so you got this big arc on the season with like Paxton leaving and like your best friend and all that. But like, I don't know. And Eleanor being your girlfriend, I don't know, bro. Hella sus. It was just a really very suspect thing. And I'm judging the show like a teen drama, like I told Mindy earlier. And this is just there are stoners on other teen dramas, and it's just better. Like I suggest Mindy just watch episodes on episodes of Degrassi, in order to like inspire your character. But whatever. Okay, look, the whole stoner appearance on the show, like it's so overdone. It's so incredibly overdone. Like it's not fun anymore. It's like there are so many better stoners, like people who play stoners out there. Like look at Harold and Kumar. They like that's a stoner comedy, and I'm pretty sure they don't say weed as much as you do on the entire show. They let the other personality traits come out, and the stoner is the backdrop of the movie. It doesn't just have to be about weed. You do not have to say weed in every other line of your fucking thing. Like it feels like you're high all the time and you just talk about weed perennially. Like I thought the stoner thing on this show was not well done. And yeah, like again, like maybe it was the writer's brainchild and they just do not know how to write stoners. Like maybe Mindy Kaling has never smoked weed in her entire life and doesn't have friends who did. So I think that maybe it was just a really bad version of what a stoner is, because you should maybe next season. Oh, well, the season's over. So maybe next time, if you ever get a role to play a stoner, Ben, I would suggest talking to maybe friends of yours or friends of yours who smoke weed and just getting their overall vibe. I think that's the way to go. Honestly there, Ben. But look, it was good. Your performance was it was okay. It was okay. It was all right. But that's enough. Okay, that's enough with you. We got many more people we got to talk about, right? We got Richa and Utkarsh, okay, who play Kamala and Manish on the show. Richa, we're familiar from last year. Don't think I forgot when you blocked me on IG, okay? For a couple weeks, okay? I had to call that out. I know you're local, so I feel like you saw the clip I posted on TikTok of how Richa Morjani uses fake accents, and you did not like that. So you're probably not going to like what I have to say. Actually, I was really nice to you and Utkarsh this time around because I felt like there was nothing much more to go, or there was nothing much to say because you were in the show so little. So Listen, Richard, you were underutilized as hell this season. It was really funny. I mean, they still advertise you like you're a main character on the show, but I felt like you were barely in the show. And the whole arc for your marriage early on felt extremely rushed. Like the whole Prashant thing, like I thought, okay, like maybe we're gonna get like a solid ending, but like all of us, like you were eating dinner and then all of a sudden you just like dip out, skirt, and we never hear from Prashant ever again. Like Prashant wasn't a bad character. Like yeah, he has one little line, and like I totally get that. Like like women independence and like Kamala's like whole thing is like finding that independence, and like I'm with it. But I don't know, that whole arc just felt very, 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 very over the top and strange. Like Potty and the knife and you was weird. I thought it was a really overproduced scene. No Indian grandmother would do that. I thought it was strange, and I was not the biggest fan. Like I thought it was funny, even though it was supposed to be like a serious moment. And I don't know, like there was some, and also Richard, like I want to talk to you about this because you felt kind of off this season. Like there was something like the fake accent. Yes, like we can get over that, right? It's pretty corny. Like both of us can admit it. I don't think you'll admit it, but I'll admit it. It's pretty trash, but like I've gotten over that, right? That was what the first 2 seasons were for. You're gonna use the fake accent, but you just felt kind of off. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was Mindy writing you. I don't know if it was the fact you were barely in the show, but your character felt very off this season. I don't know what was going on there. And I don't know. It's kind of fucked up the way that Mindy Kaling's sort of basically writing you off the show. I actually expect you to be in season 4. I think there's going to be a very limited appearance from you with Karsh in season 4, just based on the way that she's been slowly but surely writing you off. It's tough. And I don't know how Nirdesh is on the show more than you are this season. Like Nirdesh is on this season more than Kamala. Kamala's supposed to be the main cousin, dog. And fucking Nirdesh is on this more than you, Richa. Oh my God. If I was you, I'd be pissed off. Like, honestly. Like, dog, I was promised a main character role, and now, like, Nirdesh, this little piece of shit who's going to be here for 8 episodes, is gone. Like, all right. For sure. For sure. But look, let's talk about the positives, Richard, because we talked all about the negatives the first 2 seasons with you. And this season, I want to talk a lot about the positives with you. Because I think I love the arc with you and Manish. I really do. I think it's the highlight of this season, and I think it seems to be one of the few. You guys are actually one of the few tolerable couples this entire year, like this entire season. I think Davey and Ben is really tolerable, but they're like never together on the show for some reason, so I can't talk about that. But like you and Manish are like chill. You're tolerable. It's like it works. It's like, okay, we're good. Like this is healthy. It's an actual healthy relationship. Wow. Who would have thought, right? And I'm a fan of that. But you're on the screen for 10 minutes together. And it's like, wow, great. Like, looks like that's not going to be a big part of the show. Like, I don't know. Like, and here's another thing, right? This is like a random thought. This is like nothing to do with you, Richa, so you can zone out for a second. But why are there no dads on the show? Like, I get Davey's dad passed away, but like, is no one married on this show? Like, is everybody just a single parent? Like, I'm cool with that, right? There's a show called Single Parents on ABC. It's about single parents. So I'm cool that there's like not a presence of like wives and husbands on that show. But this is single parents like all over again. There's no dads. I've seen Paxton's dad once, never seen Trent's dad, never seen Anissa's dad, never seen Kamala's dad, seen Davey's dad in flashbacks, which is fine, totally. Ben's dad is in the show for all but 2 seconds in both season 2 and season 3. Where are the dads at? I don't understand. There should be some more male influence on the show. And Ben's mom, to be fair, is Angela from The Office, which I find really funny. That's just a side note. But anyway, there are no dads on the show. It's weird. And Kamala's parents are like invisible. We don't even see them on FaceTime. There's no like FaceTime scene with their parents. I would have liked to see that as well. But that's besides the point, okay? Richard, I like your arc this season, and I thought you were pretty solid. I like the whole, like, just continuing to lean into being an independent person, and I'm fucking for that. Like, I love that. It's great. Mindy just continues to miswrite you and misuse you. That's the problem. You're just running into Mindy Kaling issues here. And as my fellow Bay Arean, I want to continue to support you. I want you to do well, Richa, but unfortunately, you're just being shoved off the show, and that sucks. So if it felt off, you were probably pissed off, and I get it. But I do like the independence element you're going for, and I respect it, and I'm for it. But Utkarsh, listen, man, I loved you last season. I thought you were going to be the savior of Never Have I Ever. Well, I thought Megan Surrey was the savior last season, but I think you were going to be the savior of the. I thought you were going to be the savior of the show. I thought you were going to carry the show to new heights, and we were going to see Never Have I Ever season 6, and it was going to be great. You were in the show for 2 minutes per episode this season. I thought you were solid. Like with the limited screen time you were given, I thought you did well. Okay. And I thought you were, I mean, the first few episodes, I was kind of disappointed in you. I'm not going to lie, because you were just made to be the bumbling idiot to the audience, which sucked. Like, I would have loved to see, a little bit more from you. But I do like the interesting angle of having, like, I like the angle that they put on with you having parents that are not into Indian culture and like growing up in the South to divorced Indian parents and all of this stuff. Like, I felt like there was a lot they could have done there. It was mentioned in 2 lines through the show, and that's what we were all given. So that kind of sucks, but like I feel like there's so much that can be done with Manish. Like it's such a useful character. They built it out nicely, but it's like I feel like it was just underutilized. And the relationship with Kamala is interesting. I mean, like I said, like I think it's the best relationship we've seen on this show. I wish we got some more development, but we're probably not going to because Mindy wants to focus on baby. So that's besides the point. But also, like, I really don't have much to say because we got so little of you. Like, I truly don't. I wish I could go on for 20 minutes about your character, but I mean, all I could say is like, yeah, I mean, you were a relatively honorable guy, and like the debate thing was cool, and like I'm with it. Like I'm pro this thing. I want to see this go forth, but it's so little. It's so freaking little. And I just hope in like the final season, as we like move forward with this relationship, that we get a little bit more of it, that the arc continues to develop, that we like get to know you as a character a little bit more, because it's one of the very few bright spots on a show that is treading water at this point. So I would like to see you and Richa a little bit more. And it's positive. Like, keep it up because I think you're doing a good job. I would just like to see you a little more. And unfortunately, I don't think Mindy is accounting for that. But that's a Mindy problem. That's not a me problem. That's a Mindy problem. I'm quality control. I'm just letting you know my feedback. Look, Karsh, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me, Richa. Don't block me on Instagram like you did last time. I remember. We're unblocked now. So we're friends. We're homies. Yeah. Don't block me. Don't block me. I gave you good fucking advice, Richa. I was like, nice. You better not block me. Anyway, Anirudh and Sarayu are 2 new characters on this show who got more screen time than the main character, Kamala herself. So let's talk about that for a second, right? We're talking about Nirdesh and Raya, which her name is spelled really weird. I don't understand it. Look, Anirudh, my guy, I'm gonna be honest. I did not like Nirdesh. I did not like Dace, his nickname, Des, as you like to say in the show. And we have some history, man. We have some unresolved beef that I would like to resolve with you right now. I invited you on the podcast before you got famous. I invited you on the podcast when it was announced that you were going to be Davies Brown boyfriend a year ago. Around this time, it was announced Anirudh Pishrodi will play Davies' boyfriend. I was excited, man. I was like, I'm going to get him before everybody else does. And you had 10K followers on Instagram. You weren't verified. You weren't nothing. And you didn't even respond to my DM, man. Come on, dude. We would have been so cool. Listen, you come on this podcast. We could have done Quality Control live together, and we could have criticized everyone together. Could have been best friends. It's so annoying. Anyway, Anirudh, let me get into your whole thing, because I did not like your character, and I didn't like the way you played the character. I asked for you to interview, and that totally had nothing to do with me judging this. No, I'm kidding. Okay, my shit aside, I just didn't like the way you played your character, and I didn't like your character in general. But I thought you also weren't given much to work with, so it's tough for me to just completely put the blame on you, right? I can't do that. I'm going to put a little bit on you, but I'm also going to put a little bit on the writers, like I've been doing. Like, writers and Mindy Kaling are really sinking this show down. Dace was not necessarily the character I wanted to, like, that anybody wants to work with. Like, it's not a great framework that you can work with, really. I thought, again, he was a pretty unlikable character overall. I thought they didn't do the greatest job balancing him with being a sex object and a nerd. And like, they try to make him this perfect man. And like, I get the whole thing with like the mama's boy and all that shit at the end. of like him siding with his mom. Like, look, siding with your mom. Like, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Mindy Kaling gave up. She like really put the nail in the coffin on the show on that one." Like, I mean, honestly, like that's not the main problem I had with Nirdesh. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I thought that was actually like kind of realistic. Like, a lot of Desi boys, like secret time. A lot of Indian boys hella side with their moms. Whatever their mom tells them to do, they do. It's the truth. It's really the truth. I'm telling you. It's I'm Indian and I've seen it happen. Yeah, literally, it happens all the time. So like, I get the mama's boy thing. I actually thought that was like it's very accurate. So I was actually a fan of that. I actually kind of liked it. It was one of the few moments where I was like, wow, like Mindy really is maybe tapped into brown boys more than we know. He's like, my mom. I thought Nirdesh was really funny though. It's like my mom pays for like my phone bill and shit. The line delivery was really poor on you. I'm sorry, dude. I'm really sorry. Look, but I thought the character had some potential. You probably weren't given a lot to work with, and I get it. And it's unrealized. There was all this shit happening, and unfortunately, you're not coming back for season 4. So that sucks. We won't get to see you again. This will be your first and last quality control session here with Never Have I Ever. Maybe if you pop up on some other show, we can talk more about, give you a more critical rundown of what's going on. But from the little side character of base Nirdesh that you got, it wasn't that good. Because I guess Mindy must have really given up on you halfway through the season because she was like, "This character's not working. We're cutting him off." So I'm sorry you're not on the show. I'm sorry you got coffee spilled on you. I'm sorry Nirdesh is no more in the Never Have I Ever universe. It's tough. It's tough, man. But they didn't say your mom wasn't going to be in season 4. So maybe your mom might be in season 4. But I don't know if your mom's going to be there. So let's talk to Sarayu for a second, okay? So, Anir, it was nice meeting you. Don't really have much to say. Again, pretty poor job. But anyway, Sarayu, you actually, I know who Sarayu Blue is because I watch a lot of TV and I watch a lot of shows. There was a show on ABC, I believe it was, or was it CBS? One of those now. I think it was CBS. There's a show on CBS. You want to know what it was called? It was called The Unicorn with Walton Goggins. Yeah, I remember you were Anna on The Unicorn, and you were okay. I actually like don't really like. You were kind of a side character. You were like, with Wade for a while, and then you like dipped and all that shit. So whatever. But like also like in this show, why aren't you an auntie? Why aren't you an auntie on this show? Why are you just Raya? Like I listen, I get the whole idea of like there's some aunties out there that don't want to be called auntie and all this crap. But most of the time, you call an Indian adult auntie. If I for 98% of the adults I know in my life, if I didn't call them auntie, my ass would get whooped so hard I wouldn't have an ass. It's the truth. But it's just that's a little thing. Like honestly, it's a little thing. Like I'm not one to criticize it or anything, but like I thought Mindy really missed the mark on that one. It was like it was a little subtle like thing to like Indian people like shout out, but like no, like apparently we don't like according to the Never Have I Ever universe, we only call people aunties that are like judgmental and rude, and then the other people we just call them by their first name. Like that does not happen. That's not. We don't just call Raya. Like if I were to if Raya was an actual Indian mom in my life, I would have to call her auntie because that's just kind of the cultural staple of things. That being said, I thought Mindy actually kind of hit the mark with your natural seeds thing. There are a lot of aunties out there that are very into the natural shit. And so I thought it was pretty funny when it was like, oh yeah, Nalini, try these seeds. Like, this is so good. I was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely like a South Asian mom vibe, like for sure. If she had gotten into like the Ayurvedic medicine crap, like I would have loved that. I think that would have been really funny. So I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. Sorry, you like this is maybe it's maybe a little critical, but like I felt like your character was a little whitewashed, which like I mean it's okay, but it felt a little out there for me. Like your whole delivery of certain lines and just like the way that you deliver the archetype wasn't necessarily like auntie esque. Like I'm not one who has seen this type of person before, I guess, in a South Asian sense. So it was very different. I felt like it wasn't like your typical Indian mom. I feel like Nalini is a very like they do a decent job with like showing like, okay, she's like a relatively normal Indian parent. But like I feel like every other Indian character on the show that has like Indian parents is like very different. They're not Indian, if that makes sense, or they're not South Asian. So I mean, like, and there's ways that you can kind of write that in. You don't have to be super like shove it down their throat that like, oh, I'm a traditional South Indian mom. Like you can just show it in actions. Like I feel like the best shows don't tell you things, they show you. And I would have liked to see a little bit more of that vibe. I would have liked to see Nirdeshan Raya for another year, I guess, but or I'm going to call her Raya Auntie because that's what she deserves. So Sarayu, you will now be referred to as Raya Auntie. I would have liked to see this pairing for another season. I would have liked to, see the arc play out a little bit more, but unfortunately they did just end both of you. So sorry. And see you on the next show. So I'll see both of you on the next show. So let's move on. Okay, we got a couple more pairs here. And then we're done, and then we'll get into the final verdict. And I know this is going long, and I apologize. I just get really passionate when I talk to these people. So Purna and Ranjita, okay? For those of you that don't know, Purna and Ranjita play Pati. Pati is Ranjita, and then Purna is Nalini. So let's talk to them for a second, because Purna, I said this on the last show, Purna's an OG. She's a South Asian OG. Like, she's paved the way for South Asians in Hollywood. Like, she's done all this shit. She's been in elite shows. She's been in Bollywood. She's been in Hollywood. Like, she deserves all the credit. And I really don't usually have much to say. I think she's actually one of the stronger parts of the show. And in the limited action she gets in this season, she's strong. But as the matriarch of this family, she's very, like, the way they write her is very contradictory. It's extremely contradictory. I feel like both Purna and Ranjita, like the theme of their characters is contradictions. There are a lot of situations where I feel like Nalini acts out of character in this season. You could call it character development, and I think that's what most white people are calling it. But like with South Asian moms, there's typically not the biggest development with them most of the time. But anyway, it seems like there's a lack of that. There isn't like a lot of development on screen. So like her character seems to kind of be coming out of left field a lot of times, and it feels very weird. And I felt like in the first couple seasons, like they did Nalini well because they would show that sass. They would show like, her being sassy and like, snappy with it. But like in this season, like she was extremely bland. It felt like she was just kind of go with the flow with everything. And I felt like she wasn't that, like, she didn't have that spice to her as a character. So I felt like she went a little soft. And look, Purna, like, I love you. You know this. But like you kind of looked over, like I felt like the general theme from what I could see in these actors, like from what I could tell, is they looked very over the show. They were like, dude, fuck this, we're done. Like I feel like Never Have I Ever is kind of like the actors of the show just felt like they were a little flat. And with Nalini, like it feels like it's a lot of the same lines regurgitated, and like the first couple of times they're cool, but like it's like, okay, we're kind of like over this, and it's a lot of dynamics. Like it's just weird. It just felt flat with Nalini this season, and I felt like there was a lot of contradictions. Like there was, and I would have liked to see her interact more with boys. Like that's what I think were the highlight moments in the last couple seasons, and I think they really neglected that. Look, Ranjita, Bhati, you are the least Pati-like person I've ever seen. Indian grandmas do not act like you. They're very, very different. I think I don't know. It just didn't feel like an Indian grandma to me when I saw her on screen. But I think one of the things like that could improve your acting, because I know you're probably going to be in season 4, very subtle. Make your character speak a little bit of Tamil. Intermix the Tamil with. I know you guys say stuff like Kanna and like stuff like that, but like intermix like Tamil lines with the English and like put the English subtitles at the bottom. Like I get it. Like, oh, American audiences aren't going to get it, but like intermix the language. I feel like that would make this show feel a lot more Indian, just in general too. Like every time you're with Devi and Nalini and Ranjita and Kamala, just like throw in a little Tamil, like throw it in. Like I'm down for that. I think people want to see that. Like intermix the languages. You don't have to make this just like a completely English show just because you're dedicating this to an American audience. Like you can throw in a couple lines here and there of Tamil, and I think it would play really well with your South Asians. Like I've seen the way that like there was this movie called The White Tiger, and it was mostly in English. And there was one line in Canada, and like my relatives and I like freaked the fuck out when we saw it. I was like, oh, Canada, there's a line of Canada in this. What? Like, I think people would love to see lines of Tamil in the show. I think they would love to see it. I would just love to see it little in like intermix, and I think Pati would be the perfect character to try that with. I think it would make the show feel a lot more, what's it called, brown, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's subtle nuance. Like, I think it's just those things that can make this show a little bit more deep and a little bit better. But I thought Pati was really inconsistent as well this season, kind of like Nalini. Last season, like, Pati had the sass, and I really liked that. But she was also pretty understanding and empathetic. Like, when Nalini came to her about Chris, who was a black man, and said she wants to date him, like, Pati was like, you should. Like, Mohan is, in the past and all this stuff. And she gives this beautiful speech, and that's great. But when it comes to Manish, she's like, fuck that shit. He's anti-Indian culture. Like, no, we cannot see this relationship go any further. Right? It's like, where the hell did that come from? Like, she gave this beautiful speech to Nalini in the last season of like, oh my God, I'd like date anybody you want. Like, it's all about the love at the end of the day. But like, now it's like, nah, bro, you can't date Manish because he doesn't know Indian culture like that, and he's brown. It's like, what's like, it's just such a contradiction. It felt like an odd situation. I felt like there was no addressing of that contradiction. The whole situation felt very odd. And I could tell by that whole entire situation that like they put very little thought into Pati. Like, there was not a lot of thought put into Pati, but what did the writers put thought into, really? I mean, let's be honest. I'm giving the writing staff would never have ever so much shit. I'm sorry. The character felt like, again, I feel like I've repeated myself, Ranjita, but you felt like an afterthought on this season, and I feel like there are little subtle ways that you can make your character better, like I talked about, intermixing the Indian language with English and seeing that. I think it could be significantly good for you. I'm with it. I really want to see it happen. Yeah, that's truly. I would like to see more. But we're going to talk about one more set of characters here. We're almost at an hour and a half, so this is kind of crazy. But this is my last set of characters. We got to talk about Ramona, Lee, and Megan. So that's Eleanor, Fabiola, and Anissa. And we're going to wrap this up after with my final thoughts. Look, I'm going to go through this quick because these three characters are arguably, I mean, Lee and Ramona, Eleanor and Fabiola are like my two least favorite characters on the show right now. I liked Fabiola season 1. I thought season 2, she kind of dipped. But let's start with Lee. Look, Lee, Fabiola was fucking bland this season. Okay. I don't know. Again, like, it was a little bit of writing, probably a little bit of you. But I felt like the Anissa arc was like writers just throwing shit at a wall and trying to get Fabiola more involved in the season because they can't do much with her because she's just an introverted nerd at heart. And I feel like that's her character. And it's tough to make arcs for introverted nerds because they don't really talk to people and they don't really try to do stuff. And I get the whole Fabiola's queer and like we should continue to I get that whole part of it, like, them being like Anissa also coming out as bi and all this shit, like the exploring sexuality, like it works like in some instances, but it didn't work here. And I think the nerdy, fun Fabiola from season 1 that I really liked is gone. I feel like she's just chasing sex like the rest of the characters now. And that's sad because I really like the whole idea of her being an introverted nerd and being a nerd and being smarter than Davy. But like being smarter than Davy, and she doesn't even try. So I'm a fan of that old Fabiola. I just think it's gone now, and that's sad. Look, Ramona, I'm going to keep this quick and I'm going to keep this short because I'm going to go on a rant if I don't keep it short. You are the most annoying character on this entire season. It is. It's the truth. You were probably the most annoying character on the show. No one acts this annoying. No theater kid acts like this. I'm sorry, Ramona. Like, I don't know you. You could be a great human being, but for all I know, you probably are. But your acting chops on this particular character are not good. No theater kid acts this annoying. The relationship with Trent does not work. It's red flags everywhere with this character. You are a red flag. Eleanor is a red flag, not you. Not you, Ramona. You are not a red flag. I don't know who you are, but your character on this show is a fucking red flag. It's so overacted. I think, Ramona, you are at fault here. Unfortunately, I have to. And I get, like, you're supposed to be dramatic. Like, I get it. Like, it's a flary character, but like, you don't have to do it all the fucking time. Like, dude, I've met theater kids who are dramatic on stage and they're super dramatic, just, when they need to be, But like in reality, they're not dramatic most of the time. Some of them are really chill and they're low key and they just sit around. Why can't we get that, Eleanor? Why is it always 150% all the time? I'm just like, let's chill it out a little bit. Let's chill it out. They aren't dramatic all the time. And I don't agree with your approach to the character, but that's, a conversation for another day. I feel like, I don't know. It's just something has always been missing from Eleanor's character. Maybe it's an element of chill. Maybe it's an element of her just like exploring herself as like a human being outside of theater. Like I feel like we've just painted her as this musical kid who's just going to sing all day and wants to be an actor and like is going to do everything that she can to do it. And I get they're trying to explore it through this relationship with Trent, but that's not working either. I don't know what I just don't think the character of Eleanor works. And I would say, like, to improve your acting chops, honestly, Ramona, if you're ever going to play a character like this again, watch other teen movies, watch other teen shows where they have theater kids, because theater kids don't act like this. Anna Kendrick is your classic example of like a good theater kid who can play a good theater kid, but she can play other roles. Anna Kendrick is a theater kid on Pitch Perfect. Watch Anna Kendrick on Pitch Perfect. Emulate that. That is what a theater kid should look like in terms of like the role. I'm not saying be her, but put your own flair on it. That's what you got to do. Anyway, I don't think. I think that like you are overplaying the crap out of this drama card or out of this drama kid, and it's pretty obvious in my opinion, and that's sad. So yeah, look, we're done with that, right? We talked all about all of these kids and all the actors. We talked to all of them, and it was nice seeing you guys, Ramona, Lee, Megan. Oh wait, hold on. I forgot to talk about Megan. Megan plays Anissa on Never Have I Ever, and Never Have I Ever fucked you over. I'm sorry, Megan. Look, I think Mindy Kaling should put out a public apology based on this character last season. She should put a public apology on screen, on Twitter, on everywhere, based on the fact that she built your character up so much last season and didn't use you at all this season, right? Dude, Megan, I think we agree, because the arcs for Anissa this year consisted of the Ben breakup, which was like, whatever, like cool. But the Fabiola thing, like I said, worst arc on the show. Like, go explore your sexuality, but can you bring in, like, they should bring in someone new. Why do they have to stay within this friend group? I don't understand. And Anissa just like turned less confident and less sure of herself. Last year, like, she was known as the girl who was like, I am the shit. I am cool. But then like Davey like did the fucked up shit with the eating disorder stuff, and then she just like never was the same, which like I get, sure, but I don't understand why they're friends. I would not be friends with someone that did that. But like I don't know, like her and Paxton were friends last season too, and they were chill. Like it was a good dynamic, and then they just didn't give us any of that this season. Another afterthought. The writers again forgot about another character. They were just giving us more fluff with Eleanor and Trent, and didn't give us more Anissa, who was actually one of the stronger characters. I think Davy and Anissa have so much potential. Like if you put a little bit a part of an episode with their parents hanging out, with Anissa's mom and Davy's family hanging out with Anissa's family, like the whole family friends, the moms getting along, Hindu, Muslim, because Anissa's Muslim, like, dude, there is so much stuff you could do with this character. But Never Have I Ever just decides like, nah, we're good. We're just going to give Anissa this like half-assed arc we wrote in 5 minutes on the fucking whiteboard. And yeah, they really dropped the ball on you, Megan. I'm so sorry you had to be a part of this. I could even tell, like, with Megan, it's so funny. I follow Megan Suri on Instagram, and she just was not, like, I felt like she was barely promoting this season. And I could, I don't think she's very happy with it. And that makes sense. I mean, she was barely in it, so I feel bad. Sorry, Megan. That's it. It kind of sucks. It does suck. It sucks really bad, actually. So I apologize. Yeah, but it was nice talking to all three of you. You three will probably go ahead and block me on Instagram, but that's fine. I do not care, because I'm quality control and I'm trying to make the show better. Look, I crapped on these characters, right? According to a lot of the Never Have I Ever lovers, like, oh, you just crap on this show. I'm going to give you guys actual improvements about things that could be done on this show, right? Real quick. What would I like to see more of season 4? Season 4 is already filmed. They cannot take my improvements now and change them as much as they want to, right? As much as quality control is going to provide them with all of these things, they're not going to do it. So here are the 4 things I really want to see, and I'm going to go through these very fast. I want to see more Anissa, okay? I want to see more Anissa because it worked in season 2 when you had her in a pretty decent part of the plot, and I liked watching her on screen. I want to see more of her. I also want to see more of Manish and Kamala. Highlight what's been working for you. Side characters, you do a good job with them. Why can't we bring them more into the fold? I don't understand. Why do we have to like go with these arcs like Eleanor and Trent that do not work? That do not work. Anissa and Fabiola. Why are we doing that? Let's focus on their lives. Focus on what you guys do well. Put that on paper and put that into the season. That's all I'm saying, right? I would love to see more scenes with Paxton and Ben and Melanie. Those are some of the best scenes of the show. They're tolerable scenes. They're good scenes. Put a little bit more of that. Please. Less Eleanor and Trent. I do not want to see them together. I hope they break up 5 minutes into the first episode. They're intolerable to watch on screen. Okay. Paxton going to college. Can we please get some more of that growth? He was picking it up in season 2, was going, and then it was gone in season 3. It was like senior year. Yeah, fuck that growth. And are we going to get that Melanie of old? That old Melanie who was sassy, who was fun. It was decent to watch on the screen. Are we going to get a little bit more of her? Are we going to see Chris again? Are we going to see some interracial dating? Like, is Pati going to get pissed because Andreas, who's the guy in season 4, like Chris doesn't know the Indian culture because she was pissed with Kamala? So I'm going to be watching that contradiction there. I don't know. We'll see. But listen, I want to give the overall verdict and I'm going to let you guys go because this was long as fuck. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. Look, season 3, I'm going to be honest. We're going to give this an overall verdict. I gave season 2 a 5 out of 10, right? 5.5 out of 10, something like that. I was pretty high on it. Actually, I think it was a 5.5. I was like, look, this is it's a good start. There's a lot wrong with this, but it's going in the right direction. Season 3 is going in the wrong direction. It went back. It felt like it reverted back to where they were rather than moving forward. I felt like in season 2, we were like, okay, we're turning the page. We're going to something bigger here. And it felt like at the end of season 1, like, okay, we're moving to something bigger. And each season started to feel like it was improving a little bit. I thought season 2 was a little bit better than season 1. And I thought season 3 was going to be like the final, like the first solid season we were going to get. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. It was sent in the wrong direction. They had a lot of potential with the characters that they built up, and I really thought Mindy was going to find the stride, but I guess it just ended up being like a hodgepodge of things. Like it was just a cluster of just crap. And it was the worst. I think it was by far the worst season. I said it at the top of the show. I'll say it now. I think it was by far the worst of the bunch. And if I had to give a rating, I think it'd be a 4.5 out of 10. It had like its counting number of moments that like I'm like, okay, like we could use a little bit more of this, some more Manish, some more Kamala, some more of the, maybe a little bit less of Eleanor and Trent and more of their lives, like more Nalini. Like there's moments. There's for sure some moments. A counting number, but there's moments. But it's a significant step lower than season 1 and season 2, and that's unfortunate. I think I'm excited to see what this lover situation looks like for Nalini. I think it'll be an interesting arc. I would love to see Mindy Kaling take more of my advice, although she probably will not, which is unfortunate. It's going to be interesting to see how they approach Davy and Ben. Are they going to make it kind of like, are they going to make Ben like season 1 Ben, or like, are they going to make Ben like season 2 Ben? Like, what is going to happen? I think if they use the growth that they had in season 2, like it would be much better. He can very easily turn into a douche though, knowing this show. So yeah, we'll see. But honestly though, like I really think it could be a solid ending if they bring in that revamped Ben. There's a decent relationship going on with Ben and Davy. There's a little bit more of Anissa, who was actually independent and on her own and doesn't need another character to depend on. Some actual substantial Kamala and Manish time, some good Nalini content. I think you have the potential to make a fucking solid ending here. I think you could make a solid ending to a show that has been very up and down. I think you could, finally finish it on a good note and just call it a day. And there's hope. I feel like there's a decent amount of hope for an ending. They've built it up. They've gassed it up. It's good. It's good. But the question is, are they going to execute? And I don't know, because it's already filmed. It's done. All they got to do is edit it. And we will see what happens. But That is all I have. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's an hour and 38 minutes. Who the fuck is going to listen to this? I know that was very, very long, but I love talking about TV. You know this. So I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. If you guys like my quality control episodes, feel free to suggest other shows that you want to see me do quality control in. I love doing these. I love like examining a show from like start to finish and like really going through and like talking to all the characters and pretending like I'm interviewing them. It's a lot of fun. But if you guys like this episode, feel free to like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, feel free to hit the follow button. Feel free to hit the share button also if you're on Spotify. Feel free to follow me on socials if you're really interested in my content. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all of those platforms at The Changavi Show. Pretty simple. At the CHANGAVI Show. Go follow it. Go like the posts. Engage. Yeah, share it with your friends, share it with your parents, anybody that you think would like this. And I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing these quality control episodes. I hope I wasn't too mean on the actors, and I think they deserve an apology. So I'm sorry, guys, if I was a little mean. Don't go block me and blacklist me in Hollywood. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I had a blast. I hope you guys had fun. And I'll see you guys next time for the next episode of The Changavi Show. It's coming out. It's about TV. Hint, hint. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And I'll catch you later. All right. Coming from my parents' house, exiting the podcast studio. Peace.